Be
We're
my
gonna
section.
go ahead. Yes, we might as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's okay. But I mean, again, yeah, it would be, but that's okay. It gives us a lot to talk about. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mike Lead Aspire session today. I hope everybody is having a good, warm summer. Yeah. Today we have most importantly, one of our longer serving volunteers with minorities in cybersecurity and someone that is intricately involved in everything that we do. And actually is a host. And the joke today was because I was so busy and I looked to see who the guest was, and I was like, well, Alejandro can't interview himself, so I actually have to be here for this session. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, my love, for joining this session. It's going to be a wonderful session. It's always a session when we get together, and I'm going to go unscripted because it's been that type of day. So yeah, whatever you get, family. And for those of you that are out there on our YouTube channel. If you're watching and you're not liked and subscribed, please do so. Like and subscribe subscribe to our channel. Um, definitely, we have a lot of content out there. A lot of leaders that come in to share their experiences with you guys. This Mike Lead Aspire sessions are meant for those entry level professionals, those thinking about getting into the profession, to give advice and counsel on what an individual has done, what they're doing, but also on what you guys need to model, the behavior that you need to model. So I'm sure you probably introduced yourself on the other two. I'm just getting back from vacation. So, but I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, Alejandro, before we get started and just have this conversation, buddy.
Hi everyone, my name is Alejandro Ibanez. I'm from Love Island season 7. No, just kidding. I am currently the head of engineering, security, and compliance at a fintech company called Upward. I have been in cybersecurity now for, I want to say, half a decade. But I still look early 20s. Wear your sun protection when you can. And Mary knows, by God, I'd probably try to interview myself on this one for 45 minutes. And I would go through a rampage of questions and everything. Um, yeah, I'm glad to be here, Mary. It's good to be on the other side of this versus the. I'm okay going on scripted. When have any of our conversations been scripted? I say,
That's fair. That is fair. So one of the things I do want to talk to you about, because you are uniquely situated with a lot of startup companies and for entry level cybersecurity professionals, right? What does working at a startup company, because you've had several, what does
mhm.
that look like? What does that look like?
Oh, that is a great question. Um, and I want to type into Google, how do I say this professionally? But for my young is on the phone, it means you get to wear many hats. Especially at any startup. You're not, even if they tell you it's different, you are growing with a company that is rapidly iterating as well as integrating a ton of items as they grow. So you have to be ready to flip on a dime and learn a new skill that may be out of your wheelhouse. The best part about this, though, it means that you get exposure to a ton of items. And because they don't have the backlog and technological debt of decisions made 20 years ago, you're usually gaining industry experience with items that are fresh off the pipeline. Like whether that's your Data Dogs, your New Relic, OTel, insert in things here, which means you get the chance to potentially one up people who come into the industry and say, I have 20 years of X. Well, Python was only created 15 years ago. Answer Xer was only created 5 years ago. You get tons of those. And every 6 years, the industry changes on its head all the time. So working at a startup, you get exposure to new technologies. You get the chance to work with them because they most likely can't afford a built out team, which isn't saying anything to you. It's just saying that you get the chance to get your hands on code and hand on production or hands on policy as fast as possible, which I think can be a big career builder. I won't say it's for the faint of heart. I'll say that it's one that you have to be ready to be like, you know what? I'm curious, I'm ready, and I'm willing to try to put in extra hours to do this.
That's great. And you brought up a lot of great points. And I'll start with the one that I always go to, which is willing to do the work and understanding that no matter where you enter into your profession, you can't, cybersecurity is not like a job. And oh, no shade to UPS. I used to work at UPS. I used to be the supervisor of the small sort, and it's just packages. You knew what you did every day. You went in, you packed packages up. Cybersecurity is not a job. And one of the things and the challenges that even with the apprentices, because we're in apprentice application season, so we have to speak to them. Um, in this thought and belief that I can just mail it in and I'm going to get a job in this profession. What say you about that thought process? You're one of our interviewers, so please speak to the apprentices applicants out there for me as well.
Okay. So I'm hearing two parts, and I'm gonna channel. I want to one give a shout out to Melanie and channel my inner Melanie for this one. I'm gonna challenge for those of y'all that have been with me all summer. I'm gonna challenge the people I've interviewed. I'm gonna try to do a combination of Melanie and Ted for this one. I'm gonna say one, understand yourself and your validations with it, and come to these interviews willing to sell yourself and sell yourself well and understand what you are bringing to the table. Once you have true understanding of self, for these, I'm not, and that's not saying that the minorities in cybersecurity apprenticeship program is looking for your typical X. We don't have a template built out. We're a holistic review process. With that, it means that we're willing to take people from all walks of life. However, we are looking for folks who can enable themselves, be self-driven, and on top of that, are ready for this challenge. And the are ready for this challenge is a very vague question, but it's one that we have to use our intuition on to see, hey, are you going to be able to survive a 1 year program? And mind you, compared to other boot camps and apprentices, one, we're free. Two, where free 99 is always one that you got to be ready for. Like, we're not out here competing with Dollar General, Dollar Store, Dollar Tree. We are out here offering a good program for free. And then two, it's, do you have the effort and commitment? And that's hard to judge in only a 20-minute interview, but it's one that we have to put our best intuition and put a bet on, because all cybersecurity professionals and all interviewers for this program are all risk professionals. We have to decide if the risk of bringing you on and your risk of succeeding are going to be able to show in that 15-minute interview. So know yourself, be ready to sell yourself, and know that like you are going somewhere, that you want this versus anything else.
No, and they all know because all of our interviewers have gone through one of our programs, and they know that Miss Mary would be me will hold them accountable. And so it becomes a brand issue, right? Do you when we're okay, I'm I'm all over the place. Believe me, it's been a heck of a day. But the brand issue is important, right? Because in understanding that cybersecurity is not a job, that means you have to take not only the initiative, but you have to do research,
Yes.
right? And so talk to them about the things that you do. Oh Lord. Okay, this is going to be like a 15-minute answer. The things that you do because you're in startup environment, so
Oh
you
yeah.
have to dig in. And if it's
I,
something you don't know, the answer is not I don't know. The answer is I need to go find out.
yep. I'll tell you this right now. Currently at my job, I am QA, I am mobile development, I'm app release manager, I am security, I am like I don't trust me. There's days where I want to go back to mega corp and be like bucket down the line and call it. However, I have to be able to one set my own risk assessment, two manage my time properly, three research the goal and see when something's no longer a priority because we're moving fast. If something is like, hey, that's 60 hours and we don't have time for this, this is not a viable option. Well, I have to be able to bubble that up quick and tell executives above me, like, this is not a go. But I have to have the intuition of when to bubble and when not to. So for buckling in and kind of doing research, well, one thing I'll say is we're in the age of AI, and I hate bringing up AI all the time, but I'll say you need to develop a framework. for anything you do in life. One of my goals, and this is a question I get asked throughout my entire career and life the entire time. What do you want to do? I'm like, I want to build a meaningful philosophy of life. I want to build a meaningful framework for myself. Those are my two things in life I want to do. That's it. If I can hear that, no other company is going to shake my morals or shake whatever I'm doing. And then I'm going to be able to validate myself in wherever job I'm at and be like, huh, I may have not failed. They said that I failed their standards, or they said I met their standards, but I can say to my own standards, I met and I succeeded and I did what I needed to do. And once you have that built out, nothing in life will shake you. And part of the way I build that out is one, is I make sure that with the job is, did I achieve, this is where you get those little cliche tidbits of like 80% of the work for 20% of the effort. This is where you get the whole don't buy the first pair of jeans you try on and go from there. I will always adhere to, did I do the best with the time I was given? Did I make sure I didn't exceedingly stress out during the situation? And this is me channeling Melanie again. It's did I perform well within the boundaries I set up for my work? Because if you start crossing your own boundaries and start breaking your own morals, you're going to end up in a situation where you're not building a meaningful career. You're building a career for somebody else. It's not you, and you're no longer going to be successful to your own definition. And you have to define success yourself. The way I define success is, did I learn something new? At least one thing. And that's for conferences. Like, you can take a whole week worth of conference. If you walk away with one item, it's worth it. It sucks to say it, boom. The other part is just show up. Whether it's the gym, whether the sandwich, the buffet, just get there. Just get there and then evaluate. Because if you're going to evaluate without having eyes on it, and this is where my like airport girl is, eyes on gate. If you're not eyes on gate, it's not worth it. Risk changes all the time, and if you don't have eyes on it, you better have somebody you damn well trust to have eyes on it for you and provide that intuition. Most people in my network, and I think I learned this from Mary, were people that I can be able to place my trust in to provide me information that's not diluted. And if it is diluted, it better be diluted for my damn well safety or good to ensure that I know it. If we're at a gun range, I trust Mary because I know Mary got 25 years of insert gun experience here and can shoot a nickel off a guy in 2 seconds. So I'm not going to provide it. Like, she's the subject matter expert there. I trust her to make that decision for me. And I'm like, boom. And if she gives me any information of like, you better not do that. And I'm like, I won't. Boom. So my framework's always been research it myself, decide if I can have not waste time, invest the time, show up no matter what. And then two is eyes on gate. If it's not me, my eyes on gate, I don't have eyes on it. It better be someone I damn well trust to have eyes on gate. And then the last part will be make sure it operates within my boundaries and my moral framework. And if it's not, someone else will substitute that in for you.
Absolutely. And I want to dig into the AI thing just a little bit because I've just spent 2 days at freshman orientation for my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just disabled Gemini off of my off the workspace on Google. Don't
I'm not
why?
faulting you.
Why? Okay, so I'm in there and I'm listening to these parents, and of course, universities are struggling now because do you allow AI? Some professors do, some professors don't. What I know about AI, especially when the AI summaries, they're like cliff notes. They're actually literally nothing when it comes to understanding. And so AI can, just like social media for me, can be a tool, but it's not what I'm foundationally relying upon for my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I get, and there are plenty of folks out there that are looking about, or I'm sorry, thinking about or looking into cybersecurity, saying they can fake it. That I can just ask AI, and I've had employers tell me that in the interview, right? They've used AI to get their resume, they get the interview, and while in the interview, they're typing the question that the interview is asking them to come up with an AI answer. Now, I've been in this field 30 plus years. What I do know and what I've always known, early adopters of technology have to suffer through
The
the
bugs.
pains of an AI. If AI doesn't know the answer, guess what? AI is just making it up. So I'm listening to these parents, and these parents are talking about AI and the fact that in high school they were allowed to use AI, and the question that all, if you think that somebody, that Miss Mary at 30 something years of experience can't read a document and know if it's human or AI, you're losing. You're losing, because I know how people talk. I don't even have to know you. First of all, y'all so lazy, y'all don't even change the format that Chat GPT.
Yep.
You just copy and paste it. Do you not know that you're supposed to at least make it look a little different, right? Than what is coming out. So the challenges that I see is in this profession, we're asking the machines, which is just a software program, by the way, to answer questions that to replace knowledge. I mean, are you seeing that? Are you experiencing that? You teach as well. So what's your purview on that or opinion about it?
Yeah, and I'll say I could start seeing the trends. It was rare in early when I started teaching out, and I think it was, similar to that. I had very obvious students who were the ones who are lazy with it are the ones who get caught the easiest. It's the ones who I will say, by all the effort that you put in the time to change the AI language, do everything, and finally make sure you've already read it through multiple times for comprehension. That I'm like, cool, this is your bar of comprehension. I tell my students, I'm like, if you use AI, I want you to be aware of where you're setting your bar of comprehension. And if you're setting it up here and doing all the extra work to reformat AI and regurgitate to me, okay, fine, but make sure that you understand that. So when I give you the verbal exam and I ask you, hold the conversation with me on it, you better be able to hold it for 2 minutes. Because I tell my students who get caught for plagiarism, I'm like, I'll put you on a 2 minute verbal conversation, just you and I. Your goal is, as I'm the subject matter expert and you're the subject matter expert, to hold a decent conversation for 2 minutes about questions. And if you can't answer one of my questions, the academic probation holds, and goes on that. And if they can't, then I'm like, you obviously use AI. It was a grip. It was a crutch. I had a student a couple years ago where they had relied on AI so much, it was very obvious their effort wasn't there, and they didn't care for the class. They didn't care for producing work. Anytime they asked to produce work, they just took my assignment, threw it in AI, and just regurgitated what it was at. This was during ChatGPT 1.0 and early models, so it was painfully obvious. I was like, ooh. Yeah. But he saw he was producing gold lines, code every time. And I remember just sitting there and being like, he does not think I'm this stupid, like to sit there. With new models, I'll say this: it's not whether or not you'll get found out, it's when. And I tell students that academia is your safe place to fail. And it should be the place that you try your best and fail, because the moment you do that on a job, you look dumb and you're no longer producing viable results, and you become untrustworthy at your job. You become untrustworthy. Like, yes, use AI as a tool to help empower you. The way I'll say this is you have to use it, and you have to be careful at hallucination. You have to do enough of your own research to know that you have to be able to combat what you're doing with AI.
Well, and Miss Mary, I'm old.
Yeah.
Or you can just
Well,
you can
not
just
yet, because
read.
you're old.
It,
Yes,
it,
pick up a book.
it,
Pick up a
it
book.
can you can just read and read for understanding and comprehension, and then be able to now give back and have a conversation. And that's, again, when I was at the orientation, I was like, you guys are worried about a crutch, when the reality is, when you're in this profession, the reason I'm focusing so much on these younger professionals, because these incoming freshmen, I'm going to have to deal with them in 4 years when they get graduate and can't find a job.
Yep.
Right. And the reason that you can't find a job or you can't do the job is because you didn't learn how to dig in college. Right. And so, or even in high school. And so it becomes this apprenticeship program that we have, and us trying to now get new professionals in the space. I see it, because it's like, okay, well, I'll just fake it, right? I'll just ask AI. And that's why our program is 12 months. You can't lie to me for 12 months. Listen.
No, it catches you. And mind you, we're not even asking. We take it from all levels. And I'll say, I can tell with certain folks who's giving me AI answers, even when I'm working in code bases now with candidates, or even a lot of my interview questions for work tend to be pair programming questions where we sit down and together we build something. So it's not a regurgitate answer from from leak code, or from, try to hack me. It's let's walk through a system design. And from there, let's try to code a function together. And then it lets me gauge how well. And I know that certain workplaces are moving away from this to, wait, why don't you just ask AI? I'm like, no, 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 no. Because as we saw last week, clouds still go down, including GCP, including AWS. And those are the times where I have to go back to the basics of the OSI level model and say, is it an upstream vendor? Is it me? Is it a downstream vendor? Or is it something in my stack that got updated last week? And how quickly can I find that error? Anytime you want to challenge somebody at a really bad scenario, it's give them an outage. Just say, unfortunately, it's unavailable. And I laugh because I cannot tell you, I had an interviewee get really mad at me. No, actually, it was an interviewer. It was when I was on site with an interview. They're like, that would have been an AI question to ask, and we would have taken that as an answer. I'm like, so what happens during an outage? Let's assume that GCP's out. Well, it's never down. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's never down. But when it is down, it's a storm. It's a storm. It's an issue where this is where the cream rises to the top, and you can see who can actually go through your SaaS stack or your cloud stack and quickly be like, I ruled this out as an option. I ruled this out, and here's why. Boom, 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 and like make your way through your system stack or your OSI levels and be like, not a network level. It's not application error. It's not this. It's not this. It's like boom, and you'll see there's a GTP error. Because the worst thing you can ever do is have an outage and blame it on the wrong thing and still be out when that recovers.
Yeah. So we're getting to the point with when it comes to studying and getting into this profession that you put a rotary phone in front of somebody and they don't know what to do with it. Is that what we're doing?
That's about what I'm doing. No, I'm gonna put a TI Inspire, a TI 84, and say, okay.
But I mean, again, it's a situation that needs to be known, especially for those that are trying to enter into this profession. You're going to have to understand what you're doing, the basics of cybersecurity, or what you're there to do in order for you to be able to build on that. I just want a job. This is not a job.
No, this is a career. It also, I'm gonna say this for any worthwhile job, because yes, if you want just a job, I'm gonna say this: go back to retail, go back to something, and build that up while you're focusing on your career, because you'll value it more. If you're gonna grab any minor cybersecurity role and just even when you get into that first role and say I'm gonna learn on the job, you're gonna set yourself up for failure. Unless that job is set up for you to learn on the job, you're gonna set yourself up for failure only for the fact that you're either gonna be panic Googling or you're gonna come off really bad and then get fired. And in most of these industries, we only get one shot because once you get labeled badly and a reference check happens or like HR check, other jobs are like, hey, we just want to check your reference, or why were you sitting there for only 3 months? Or and if you're the type of person that's like, oh, I just won't tell them I was at this place for 3 months. I'm like, that's fine. But just realize that most states e-verify. And on top of that, a lot of people will be like, hey, what happened here? And you even get fired on this like the first day. Where they're like, oh, cool, you lied to us in an interview and said you never did this on your working history, so we can't trust you. It's like, oh, mind you, most startups only care about you're as good as the skills you present in the interview. But any job worthwhile, like a mega corp or something else, will do their best check of due diligence, especially in our roles in our position. The ones who aren't offshoring us as fast as possible. But for those of us that have to stay domestic for the time being, they're gonna do their best to due diligence your butt, and they're gonna do a skill check. They'll verify, and that's it. Well, I was gonna say this before, but if you go government, they're gonna really check you for any security clearance.
No, you're absolutely right. And all of this to be said, and we the different where you hunt, right? The difference between big corp and startup and what that looks like. And usually even at mid-sized companies, it doesn't have to be a startup. It could be $5 million a year, $5 to $15 million a year organizations, or maybe, well, I don't know what they do the mid-sized tier anymore, but in any event, that never had a cybersecurity resource.
Yeah.
All right. And so you can go mid-tier manufacturing organization that has IT, but never had a security resource. They hire you as a security resource, and now you're doing everything. So you can kind of get away with the basics, but you still have to be able to do the research to understand, okay, this organization, we sell widgets. What are our risks? What is it? Do we have foundational programs that involve information security? All the cybersecurity professionals out there say risk assessment. I know risk assessment is a trigger word for you, Alejandro.
The years of GRC. I'll say this was, and to add to your point as well, I agree with you fully. It's you tend to be the net new person. You have to get there's the engineer who glues, there's the engineer who creates, and there's the engineer who copy pastes. Because I used to be, at least in my early career days, I was definitely the engineer that glued. I was somebody who I know this framework, I can take this framework, connect them together, read a JSON object, call it a day, and build minor things from there. When you're just getting started, you can go for gold and go straight to the deep end if you're that type of girl. I'm not. I'm the type that, I stick a toe in. I'm like, okay, it's just warm enough. Let me now put the foot, go from there. And well, Mary pushed me off the deep end a couple times, but I needed to. I needed that last push in my career. Early on though, I'll say bite off what you can chew. Start off with something simple. Glue a script together. Build something like small. You don't have to boil the ocean was the first step, especially at a startup. When you land in those roles, a lot of executives will just start to ask you immediately to start boiling the ocean. And to rapidly grow, you have to check if it's because you don't want to give wrong information. Your goal is to advise, and your goal is to see ISSP, like right there. Your goal is to advise. Your goal is to advise. Your goal is to advise, and your goal is to build something that will last. You want to leave a legacy, you want to leave a legacy, and you want to build successful programs from the start that will be able to survive multiple iterations of the company and understand that. My goal isn't for my legacy to live forever. If I go back to a company and the stuff I built is still there, I'm like, ooh, we got problems. Because that definitely didn't iterate. My goal is to build something that did its job for what it was worth. I'm your girl from the first 100 meters of the race to the 200 meters race, and then it's time to pass the baton. And many of y'all have heard me say this during not Inspire sessions, during in-person sessions, when I'm with you at conference, where I know where I am at in a company. I know how long I'm going to last there from the moment I start day one, where I say, boom, and I give myself an expiration date. And once I hit it, I reevaluate, I go through, and I'm like, okay, am I still doing what I want to do? Am I still doing items that fit me, that make me happy? And if not, it's Marie Kondo, and then we go on.
That's a great point, and we're going to dig into that a little bit. Managing your own career, right? And then understanding not only what value you bring, but when is it time to make that transition? You mentioned that you have an expiration date. Usually those of us that like startups, well, I'm in it for the long run, but we enjoy the beginning. And then when it gets to steady state, it's like, okay, I did what I was supposed to do and I left. But how, and we do personality typing and everything else in our leadership programs. But how would you say is do you determine from the very beginning how to manage your career going into a job day one?
A very helpful recruiter at one day kind of slapped me with the head, and she combined I had I'm an ingredient household. I'm not a pre-packaged household. I think you said it a couple times. I had the right ingredients for my career coming out of college. I just didn't know the recipe for my own success. And I think she helped me refine it a little more. And she's like, you got good things going, but rather than flambeing, you're burning type of thing. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I'll say that. I look at the work, the body of work, the stakeholders within that realm of work, trust within leadership, and kind of grow potential. And like, so when I evaluate a job, I'm not just evaluating pay and benefits. It does play a part into it because I don't get out of bed for less than 6. But I'll say you have to be understanding of like, I love my work, I hate my coworkers. Okay, is that enough? Like, where do the scales land? Like, is that enough for you to go through? And like, does that make an impact on you? Like, I'm like, okay, cool. If you want to play Bad Girls Club or All Star Seasons of Big Brother, go for it. Like, I don't mind. Like, I've been, and Mary knows this. I have survived hostile workplaces before, and they're not on my LinkedIn. Don't go looking, OSAN. But it's during that time you want to make sure you're not the frog in boiling water. You're the person that jumps out before it's too late, and your understanding of when this is a no-go for you and what factors lead to no-go, and having those check-ins with yourself. So like I said earlier, it's my stakeholders, it's the body of work, it's my growth potential, it's my direct line to manager, and then leadership. Because I can have a great relationship with my manager, but if executives up here, I've lost trust in that executive body to lead this company in the right direction. It's, and mind you, this is probably gonna get me banned from Techstars or insert company here. If you can't trust leadership to make the right decision for you or for the company anymore, and they're heading a way that you probably don't agree with, because the fish rots at the head, it will trickle down, whether it's bad performance metrics, whether it's bad culture fits, because they'll start to hire people who fit that vision. So you have to have that scale or that meter of like, once the milk turns this percent of sour, the milk is still sour. You're now just debating how sour tasting do you want it? Do you want to make butter, or are you trying to like make whipped cream? Because buttermilk does not do whipped cream good. And if you're looking for whipped cream, you're not going to get it. And she used to also say this. I'm stealing this from her because I don't have this type of vernacular. Don't go to the grocery for a haircut. You're not going to go to the grocery store for a haircut. So once, like, unless it's a Fred Meyer's, but that's Kroger. But don't do it. So that's where I have my own feelings where I'm like, I look at the body, I look at the stakeholder, I look at that, and I have to put a weight multiplier on each one of them and be like, if I'm working from home, I really don't care about food benefits in office or this. I might place more on team members and the quality of team members I have next to me, because it could lead to a situation in some remote worlds where like your team members may play a huge part in your work because you can't deliver on like deliverables because the delivery has to be touched by so many people. It could be leadership and vision, like the company's heading a direction that you may not like it. It's partnering with certain people, it's partnering with administration, or it's not garnering a certain level of clientele anymore. It could be that, you know, I worked for a company where certain memorabilia was put on display, and it showed me a lot about what that type of place was becoming. And 3 months later, they started hiring from that type of memorabilia, and it led to, I'm like, ooh, we are rapidly changing, and I am a-okay. Thank you. And you'll notice discrepancies because that will bleed into every aspect of the organization. It'll lead into, we have money to cover this conference for this person, but we don't have money for this educational benefit, or at least the inequitable practices across the org. It leads to, what's the favorite HR saying? We want to empower you to be better, but pit before a pit, essentially. Where it's, we want to ensure that everyone here is thriving and having a good moment. There's a reason, and mind you, and I think Mary knows this fact firsthand, there's a reason why so many startups are started by Black women first, because corporate America has a way of pushing people out so fast and dealing in these cyclones of silence and oppression that it forces people out because of certain traits. So you have to be able to fine tune it. And I might be more alert. I don't want to say it. People don't say I'm paranoid. People say that I have a really good screen for it. Where the moment I jump in order, I'm like, ooh, that's not good. Like, I'm not the canary in the coal mine, but I'm definitely one of the first to leave the party because I'm not gonna leave the party while it's dead. That was a lot.
No, it is, and it there's a lot of gems to be that were dropped there, and as it relates to just managing your career. So switching a little bit, you've worked for larger companies as well,
Yes.
right? Earlier on in your career. So for those that are looking, because I often say you got to know where to hunt, and you know where you hunt depends upon your personality and what you're willing to do, the risk taking aspects of things. You go to larger organizations where essentially are siloed right?
Yep.
Is that fair? And so tell us, as it relates to improvement or educational improvement opportunities in larger organizations, how did you find that?
This is a good one. I will give the more polished version of this because for those of y'all who know me, you know the dirty version. Adversity can be a powerful driver of change and innovation and growth. So many of my megacorp companies have been a hired gun. So when you're hunting for these career opportunities, look for don't if you can't go through the front door, go through the side door, go through the back door, go through somewhere else. A lot of people have this like Fang or die, or it's FTE or die type of thing mentality, especially in Silicon Valley, West Coast folks. For East Coast culture, I think it tends to be a little more different. Consulting tends to be a lot more normalized and a lot more not like West Coast. We like to believe we're granola and very much more like we don't hold these class like structures. Yeah, we do. We just hold them in a different way. Trust for hunting these jobs is get through the door, whether it's contract, whether it's short-term opportunity, it's have it on your resume and build a portfolio you're proud of. That's the thing I'll say. In my early career, I used to be so I wouldn't say insecure, but I was so worried about name recognition and name brand and attributing. And then I realized like, ugh, no, it's not worth it. I went to a mid range university. I went to a and I had the best time of my life there. I learned a lot because I had that one-on-one time. I didn't go to the mega state university where I would have get lost in the crowd. At megacorps, I will say this: no one is a star when you're working with nothing but all stars. It's just where you have to learn how to show yourself and really be like, here's my work, here's what I'm getting out of it, and know it's transactional on that part and be okay with it. When it comes to like building your career inside, because we talked about how to get in at any means necessary, whether short-term contract, full-time loops are now harder to get into. Whether also by that I'll add bug bounty and CTFs. If you can't get into the front door, a lot of cybersecurity teams will hunt from people that have published with some that said, "Hey, I looked at your product. I know this from the public side. Or you can even do this because megacorps have privacy lawyers too. Read the privacy policy and say you left a glitch in paragraph 5, subsection C, where you left an opening that this is very vague and this blah blah, and submit that as a bug back to them. Once you're in the company, you have two options. One is succeed with your team internally and really brand yourself. I'll say I was more undercover. I was taking a recovery when I was at Megacorps before, where usually I am so tired from my startup adventures. I tend to be like, oh, I'm back to being handcuffed and married and domesticated for a little bit. I'm shopping at Nordstrom's and Neiman's and I'm enjoying my not insert coffee brand name here, but you know, I'm living my best little Lululemon life. I kept quiet. I wasn't a big pusher. However, I was big at advertising outside of my org. My org was, I knew people across the company. I did my best to do my little tap your network, tap your advocates, where I saw random projects and off my normal work time, I'd be like, hey, I'd love to help you with that just to learn more. And you start building that transactional of favors. I don't expect anything back from these favors. I just do it because I know that the experience would get me something. And most of the time it did. I built long time connections that I'm like, to this day, I'm like, hey, whenever we're ready for the next chapter, I'm somebody that you can call. We're like, I worked with you with this, with events, with Sprawl. Internally to my team, at first I put myself down because I was very like, oh, everyone here is so smart, PhD, University of blah, da 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 da. Until I came to realize when my director and I had some real talk. I'm sorry for I know this is on YouTube and recorded. My director had some real talk where he was like, I brought you in because I saw how much of like not give a that you had. And that's what I needed for my team to challenge people who were very male, pale, and Yale and authoritarian. So I came in, I had the same level of access as them, and I was like, oh, I got this. You need me to be like not a bully because for HR and legal reasons I'd never say that. You need me to be a bar raiser and a challenger and a growth mindset person to these people. I got you. Easy. Start owning my products, own my services, and really push there and be that staple, which led that staple stability for my team. Where yes, I wasn't working on the best projects or like the latest and greatest, like, but those projects failed to the leeways, and my services still stand. I'll say that. Oh,
They needed you to be a motivator. That's the word. That's the word.
That's the way to say it, a motivator.
See, the lawyers helping you out. Um, Want to make sure if anybody has any questions out there on YouTube or here, please feel free to put it in the chat, put it in Q&A, put it in the chat on YouTube, because we'll just keep talking for the next 15 minutes if y'all don't stop us.
Oh yeah.
So if you do if you do have specific questions, please drop them in. But okay, so large companies, recovery for your startup adventures, because startups are so demanding and they do demand a lot out of you and giving you a lot of different hats. However, giving you a broad range of things that you can explore within
Yep.
cybersecurity to be able to hone your skills. So when we're looking at those that are, you know, looking to get into the space. And so it's like, okay, where you're hunting, if you're have the desire, right, to go into a startup environment, how usually startups hire folks
Word of
that
mouth.
have experience. Well, okay,
Oh
please
no, go for it.
inform me. No, no,
I'll
no,
let you,
word of mouth. You
I'll say this: a lot of the startups I've worked with first, at least my in my experience with startups, were word of mouth is how I got both my jobs right away. Where Pillow Talk got me through. The other ones were through I want it not Tech Country. I'm trying to figure out the site. Um it's where everybody lists their startups. But I'll say the first one has always been just word of mouth, where people are like, "Hey, I'm looking for someone that can do X." And even with how I'm hiring now too, my first three hires at my current company were always somebody that came recommended to me, where I said, "Hey, I need someone for X summer for this project. Here's what I got going. Is there anyone I can really um talk to about this or even like have a conversation with?" um and that works to a certain extent, but the other thing, oh, Crunchbase is the other one that you want to be aware of too. uh they'll ask other startups, people will always be like, "Hey, what about this, what about that," and go from there. You want to be very aware that that works both ways, where people who are like startups will have their own way of like saying like, "Hey, like I'm looking for X," and you have to understand that other people will review them back. So we have to be very influential about when we're hiring and who we're hiring, because if somebody leaves very peeved off and wasn't a culture fit right off the way, they might do more damage reputation wise to the startup than, because engineers talk, especially whether it's groups, red team. Like Mary, you and I talk. We have a list. We know what we're going through. Like the first thing I do when I look at a new company is I'll ask my peers, I'm like, "Have y'all heard of X?" And instantly I'll either get tea and be like, "Oh, that's what's going on," or I'll hire someone else to give me tea on that part.
okay? Okay, so hunting for startup jobs. What Give me the one character trait that you would say for someone brand new trying to get into cybersecurity that they need if they're going to have to go after a startup job.
Me too. Curiosity. I'll say curiosity. Yeah, I've touched on it earlier. I'll say curiosity, and Ted and I also touched on this as well. You have to be curious about how something works or how a system is, because at the end of the day, we live in a very capitalistic system of society, and everything is a byproduct or a yield of another system here. Even our own decisions, what I bought on Prime Day, is all yield of something, and trying to figure that out. You don't want to be the startup that invents a problem. You want to be the startup that solves a problem. Don't invent a solution for a problem that does not exist. And that's usually the people who are kind of out of touch and be like, "Yeah, this is I built it, I need it." Boom. No, you true startups that are built on innovation success are either ones that remap something very well, or two, the ones who are curious enough to understand that everything impacts each other. I know I sound very matrixy. I swear I'm not this granola. The ones that can truly be curious and understand, like, "Hey, I really found this weird niche, and I think something from here and something from here should connect to really build a byproduct." And that's where I'm saying this is like the old school 2000. I sound very 2010, 2008, like Obama's administration of everyone should be an engineer. Of every background can bring something, and I think that's why every background can bring something to cybersecurity as well. To touch on it, that you're going to see something that no one else saw because we've either been too into it or we've normalized it too hard that we no longer see it. So that's where like I want my beauty school dropouts. I want my girl who does lashes. I want someone from Target type of stuff. I want someone who's gonna see something because they're like, I have X pattern. And in my early career, my retail pass, ironically, was something that really provided me heavy experience in IT and cybersecurity because a lot of the engineers I had worked with had never been on the other side of a this is my first smartphone. This is what I'm doing. This is anticipated customer behavior. I'm like, forget anticipated. This is what they're gonna do with it right off the bat. Or like, have you never activated a phone or something like that? And I leaned on a like, yeah, you're gonna impact market share by deprecating that version of Android. And here's how you're gonna do it. And I connected that dot because I had worked at Insert Mega, well, Boost Mobile. I'll say it. They're still around, but they're someone else now. And Insert working at the mall, Insert this, and Insert working diversity services, and connecting these dots that someone wasn't going to connect. So that's where I'll say you have to be willing to bring in and lean on these like weird structures and make those connections. And you have to have curiosity to do that, to be like, oh, I studied this weird niche thing out of nowhere on my off time. And I also connected it to this, and it helped me build a better product.
Yeah, and that will help you in the interview, right? Connecting the dots,
Yeah.
that's very, very, very important. So, the last 10 minutes, if there are no questions, I want to draw in on this whole building of relationships piece
Oh, yeah.
because you said a lot, and I've said in previous videos, and I will tell you, and I'll tell you again, every job that I've received in cybersecurity is because I knew somebody, or somebody knew me. It wasn't the application process. I did not find I have not landed one job where I went out traditionally and applied for a role and they pulled my resume and I interviewed and got the job. No. Um, and so the importance of networking and building relationships outside of the computer screen. How valuable is that?
I place a lot of value on that. And this is where you have to have your meetups in Seattle. You have to go and invest time outside. For those who are more already in a relationship and stuff like that, it's harder to break out of it, but you have to find the time to make connections because you want to be the person that they pillow talk about. And I'm not gonna lean on my Bravo past here and say any PR is good PR. No, leave that for your later career. Let be controversial later. You can be controversial early, but you have to be. It's gonna be a little harder. Mary, when I first met Mary, I think the slogan I introduced myself with, which was a hard one, I can't believe I did it, was "May the light from the bridges you burn light up your future forever," or "May the fire from." Sorry, yeah. So I'll say this: connections are important, and have your filter. If you're gonna be controversial, be ready to understand. Like for me, I'll say this: I knew I was a controversial person when it came to certain people, and I knew that the people I was controversial with were people I never wanted to work with in my life. However, those people, most cities and tech cities are small and people talk. If they hold power over you or they're later on in the career and they're powerful, you have to be ready to fight those battles as they come and be ready to either escape that bubble of influence that they have, which I did. I met someone bigger and badder, Mary Cheney, in front of me right now today. And I knew to escape. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Your sphere of influence goes as far as the 206. So as long as I'm in SFO, Atlanta for my ATL girlies, New York, Boston, somewhere else, I'm good. However, I also realized that when people were meeting people from Seattle and they're like, oh, our only mutual is Alejandro Ibanez, I had one of my contacts tell me, like, I know based on their reaction when they hear your name, whether or not they're a person I want to associate with. But that took me years to build that brand up and build, like, hey, here's where I'm at, here's what I do. If I could go back to my early career stage, I would say I would be not silent because I think silent leads to complicity. I think I would be more okay and smile it away and just like, boom. Karma will act through you when it needs to. You don't have to opt in to it. Um, I opt in a lot.
I like that. I like that.
Oh, make those connections, go to the coffee shops, show up. And I'm gonna lean back on the moral philosophy of just show up. Like whether it's the gym, whether it's this, like, hey, make the decision there. Sign up, try to network the best you can, whether that's like local meetups, local clubs, reconnecting to the student campus, looking for ways to give back. Ironically, some of the tech people I meet aren't through tech events. They're through some of the stuff I do, like and this is where I am going to sound super granola and super like Birkenstocky. It's through environmental cleanup. Sometimes like doing the neighborhood walks. Seattle has a bunch of people who just meet up to clean a highway sometimes. And
Mhm.
it's my 15-minute task of like, I wake up early on a Saturday, I clean this stretch of road because I feel good about myself right now and I did my little job and stuff like that. Or I volunteered here. I tend to do a lot of volunteering with code camps now where I take on a class for 30 days, 60 days. I'm like, here's how I can help, here's how I can show up, connecting with students. Any networking opportunity, you just gotta realize it's an investment. It's you never know when they'll happen. I met one of my close pen testing friends at a happy hour bar event that was for a vendor. And now I'm like, oh wow, you're a cool person, and now we talk and have fun and talk. Maybe I'll bring him on the show. We'll see, and go from there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that gym thing is the thing because I'm if you guys if you don't know, Miss Mary works out probably six days a week. Uh, when I can. I got travel next week. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I was exercising. I was taking a class last week, and sometimes they partner you up. They're called alpha classes, right? So they're crazy. They're trust me, it's not for the faint of heart. It is painful. And so I was talking. I had on a Mike t-shirt. Usually I don't wear my Mike t-shirts to the gym. I'm always in a Mike t-shirt outside the gym, but I had on a Mike t-shirt, and him and I had worked out together as a group. I mean, as a team. We were before, and he's like, I knew I introduced when we met the last time that I knew your face, but I could not place who you were until I saw your T-shirt. You're Mary Cheney, and I'm like, okay, first of all, for somebody that likes her privacy, I'm gonna get a little bit
Is
too.
that morning show? He saw you on that morning show and was like, there you go.
No, he's like, we're connected on LinkedIn. And I was like, are we? Okay, cool. But no, I've met a couple of cybersecurity people at my gym. Not because only because the conversations that were had and they saw my shirt or whatever. But no, so networking at any event, and I know networking sometimes can be daunting, especially for those that are introverts, but take a friend. Take one of your more extroverted friends. They don't have to be in cybersecurity.
And I want to add too is that you can still be safe while having a LinkedIn profile. Like my image doesn't show unless we have a mutual connection. I see even then it doesn't show. Like I know that the biggest scrutiny of like you're in cybersecurity, you shouldn't have a LinkedIn. Some of us don't have that benefit. I acknowledge if you can be in cybersecurity and somehow just have like a hackering profile, good on you, girl. I'm not that type of girl. I'm not that future. I'm not that path. I know for me, I'm I'm a Monopoly LinkedIn girl. I'm right there. I'm on my LinkedIn. I'm not posting heavily. I haven't done that in forever. But when the time comes, which it'll I'll start posting again. I'll start saying. I'll start connecting. I reshare. I highlight my posts, but I have my group of folks that are ready. Like you can do that. You can build it out and still be secure and safe online. I know there's a lot of cybersecurity professionals who are like, you're giving out your OSAT. You're making it easier for you to be targeted at any like company here. Yes, but not really. If they hack you through LinkedIn, you got bigger problems.
That part. You know how many apprentices reach out to me telling me that they need their bank account information is changed. Oh, and before we go, if you are out there and you have applied to the apprenticeship program, applications close July 15th. You will be reached out to. We've had so many applicants. I think we're upwards of 80 now, I want to say. And so we'll get to you. Don't fret. We will get
Don't
there.
worry.
Yeah, we will get to you. You may not be in September. You won't if you've applied and you're like number 51, you're not going to get into September cohort. You're going to get into March of 2026. But all that to be said, Alejandro, as always, my love, Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Just chatting it up with you. Wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much, so much, so much for your support of minorities in cybersecurity, your continued volunteerism, your continued sounding board for Miss Mary and all the things that happened to Miss Mary. And so we appreciate you 100%. And that's what we got. So thank you guys out there who've joined. Thank you. If you're out there on YouTube, like I said, please like and subscribe to our channel. Hit the little bell. I've been trying to monetize this daggone thing for damn near 3 years. It ain't happened yet, but it's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll
Oh
get
no,
there.
always. I'll say the last thing I'll leave the students with before I go was ethics and integrity matter way more than skill. That's the last thing I will say is, well, and close it out with that.
You're gonna close out. You're gonna drop the mic. Do I need to grab my microphone?
Yeah, I'm gonna drop. That's my mic. That's my little. That's
There
my
we go.
little.
There we go. There we go. We're dropping it. All right. All right. Thank you guys. You guys enjoy the rest of your Friday. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.